So hey there guys, what's good? My name is Tino and welcome to Hello World. And today it looks like the beef between Elon Musk and OpenAI is getting even hotter. Even with everything that's happening with OpenAI surrounding their 12 days of Christmas, it looks like they still have plenty of time to clap back at Elon Musk for everything that he's been saying. And they've just released this new blog post titled Elon Musk wanted an OpenAI for profit. So we're going to dive into it right now and basically try to understand everything that's going on. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen right now and hopefully you can see everything. And the blog post basically starts off with this timeline of events. And if you don't already know what's going on, basically Elon Musk was one of the original co-founders of OpenAI. He even came up with the name that they're using right now. And recently he's been trying to sue them because it looks like OpenAI are going to stop being a non-profit. And also they've basically turned into the exact opposite of what they were originally intended to be, which was an open source non-profit company that develops all this high-end AI and basically gives it out to everyone to use. Right, so getting into the timeline of events that's at the top of this blog post. It starts off in November 15, which is when OpenAI was launched as a non-profit, and OpenAI is saying that Elon Musk wasn't totally sold on this idea, and by December of that year they were a public company. And skip forward to 2017, they are saying that their research made it clear that building AGI would require billions of dollars to compute. So we are already seeing this happening today, because any company that develops models that are in any way significant are basically pouring in a ton of money into the GPUs and the training time. Okay, so the timeline goes on to basically say that by summer, Elon Musk and OpenAI basically agreed to shift to a for-profit model, which is what Elon is suing them for trying to do right now. So yeah, they basically tried to move to for-profit in the summer of 2017, but it got a bit messy because Elon demanded the majority equity. So he wanted full control of the company and also wanted to be CEO, which the OpenAI team rejected. Skip forward to 2018 and Elon said that OpenAI was on a path to certain failure unless we merged into Tesla. So again, Elon was trying to take control of the company. The month after that, he stepped down as co-chair, and by the end of that year, he was pressuring the team to raise billions annually. And then in March 2019, OpenAI basically introduced this capped profit model to balance funding and the mission that they're on. Fast forward a few years, OpenAI blow up, everyone starts using ChatGPT and their APIs, so they're earning a lot of money now. And on the surface, it looked like Elon got jealous to see the company that he left blow up, and he starts XAI as a competitor. So since he's competing with OpenAI in the race to AGI, some people basically think that the lawsuits that he's been sending towards OpenAI serve no other purpose than to slow them down. Which is probably why OpenAI is starting off this blog post by saying that you can't sue your way to AGI. So in other words, if you're familiar with the rap beef that's been happening between Kendrick Lamar and Drake, this has a similar vibe to what Drake has been doing recently, which is trying to sue Kendrick for basically winning. Maybe, who knows? Probably not the same, but both of these lawsuits are kind of funny. Okay, so from this point onwards in the blog, they basically go to talk about everything that we've just summarized in that timeline, but in more detail, and they show receipts. So they have some screenshots for all the conversations. But before all of that, they start off with this opening statement, and it also contains the "you can't sue your way to AGI" line that I've just read out. And I'm going to get ChatGPT to read it out for us so we can hear it clearly. Hey ChatGPT, can you read out the opening statement for us, please?
You can't sue your way to AGI. We have great respect for Elon's accomplishments and gratitude for his early contributions to OpenAI, but he should be competing in the marketplace rather than the courtroom. It is critical for the US to remain the global leader in AI. Our mission is to ensure AGI benefits all of humanity, and we have been and will remain a mission-driven organization. We hope Elon shares that goal and will uphold the values of innovation and free market competition that have driven his own success.
All right, thanks for that, GPT. And after that, we hit this first major section where they go into more detail about OpenAI and how it was started. They say that on November 20th, 2015, Elon said, "Also, the structure doesn't seem optimal. Probably better to have a standard C Corp with a parallel non-profit. We felt a non-profit was the right path at the time, but later came to realize that our structure would have to evolve to attract the capital necessary for the mission." Okay, so then they show off this email, which I'm going to ask GPT to read as well. Hey GPT, can you read out the email, please?
Sure. AI docs, forwarded message, from Elon Musk redacted. Date Fry, Nov 20th, 2015 at 12:29 p.m. To Sam Altman redacted. I think this should be independent from, but supported by YC, not what sounds like a subsidiary. Also, the structure doesn't seem optimal. In particular, the YC stock, along with a salary from the nonprofit, muddies the alignment of incentives. Probably better to have a standard C Corp with a parallel nonprofit. On Nov 20th, 2015 at 11:48 a.m., Sam Altman redacted wrote, Elon, plan is to have you, me, and Ilya on the board of directors for YCAI, which will be a Delaware nonprofit. We will also state that we plan to elect 2 other outsiders by majority vote of the board. We will write into the bylaws that any technology that potentially compromises the safety of humanity has to get consent of the board to be released, and we will reference this in the researchers' employment contracts. At a high level, does that work for you? I'm CCing our GC redacted here. Is there someone in your office he can work with on the details?
All right, so that email shows that even early on, there was a debate on how OpenAI should be structured. And Elon makes a suggestion that it should be a mix between a standard company and a nonprofit, thinking that this would align the incentives better. And even though the idea wasn't adopted straight away, it's interesting to see that's basically the structure that OpenAI have currently. Right, so after that, they continue on to describe the timeline in more detail. And this section here is talking about how OpenAI's research progress led them to realize they would need billions of dollars for the compute to build AGI. And they have a little statement here saying that in 2017, we made progress on building AI for the competitive video game Dota. We discovered that we would need far more compute than we initially imagined. On June 13th, 2017, Elon responded to the email saying, okay, let's figure out the least expensive way to ensure compute power is not a constraint. And the last part of this statement says that Ilya reiterated on July 12th, 2017, each year we'll need to exponentially increase our hardware spend, but we have reasons to believe that AGI can ultimately be built with less than 10 billion in hardware. 10 billion. Alright, so this section looks like it has several emails that accompanies it. So instead of getting ChatGPT to read each one word for word, I'm just going to get it to summarize everything in one go. So hey there GPT, I'm making a video right now on YouTube and I want you to summarize these emails for us. They're a bit too long for me to read and I don't want you to read them word for word. Can you just summarize them for the audience, please?
Of course. These emails give us a fascinating behind-the-scenes look at OpenAI in its early days. Elon Musk and the team are discussing some big challenges and strategies around building AGI, artificial general intelligence. Musk emphasizes urgency and competition, especially against companies like DeepMind, which he thinks are advancing quickly. He stresses the need to hire top talent and achieve visible successes within months to prove OpenAI's credibility. On the technical side, there's a huge focus on compute power. Back then, the ability to run massive experiments quickly was becoming a game changer, and OpenAI needed exponentially more GPUs to stay competitive. The team also talks about the hurdles in AI, things like unsupervised learning, transfer learning, and generalizing knowledge. But they're optimistic, believing better hardware and scaling experiments will lead to breakthroughs. They mention early projects like solving Dota 2 with AI, advancing robotics, and tackling problems like adversarial examples in machine learning. Ultimately, the emails show the team navigating the balance between bold ambition and the practical realities of funding, hardware, and research, all while racing to push the boundaries of AI development.
Okay, so after that, we move on to the summer of 2017. And this section has a title of, We and Elon agreed that for-profit was the next step for OpenAI to advance the mission. And it says that on July 13th, 2017, Greg sent Siobhan Zilis, who was operating as a liaison between Elon and OpenAI, recap notes from a meeting with Elon that day where we proposed an idea to merge with a hardware startup, saying that it turned into talking about structure. He said non-profit was definitely right early on, may not be the right one now. Ilya and I agreed with this for a number of reasons. Alright, so jumping ahead to the more interesting parts, there's a section here where Elon demanded the majority equity. And it says, over the next 6 weeks, we negotiated terms for the for-profit. On one call, Elon told us that he didn't care about the equity personally, but just needed to accumulate 80 billion for a city on Mars. Sounds like Elon. And there's a screenshot or recreation of the text messages between Greg and Siobhan here. So I'm going to get GPT to read those out as well. Hey GPT, can you read out the text messages between Greg and Siobhan?
Actually, I'm still slightly confused on the proposed detail around the share percentage and board control. Given it sounds like the proposal is that Elon always gets max 3 seats, or 25% of the seats, and all the power rests with the board. Yes, though I am guessing he intended your overrule provision for the first bit, but I'm not sure. So, what power does having a certain percentage of shares have? Sounds like the intention is static board members, or at least board members coming statically from certain pools. But yeah, I'd be curious to hear the specifics. Also, I guess for even board sizes, 50% means no action. I think it would grow to at least 7 pretty quick. The question is not that, but when does it transition to a traditional board, if in fact it transitions? And he sounded fairly non-negotiable on his equity being between 50 and 60, so moot point of having majority. Let me know if you'd like me to break that down further.
And after those screenshots, there's a section here where Elon laid out the board structure, where he would unequivocally have initial control of the company. Hey GPT, can you read out the current state email, please?
Sure. Here's Elon's email read aloud. Sounds good. The 3 common stock seats, you, Greg, and Sam, should be elected by common shareholders. They will de facto be yours, but not in the unlikely event that you lose the faith of a huge percentage of common stockholders over time or step away from the company by choice. I think that the preferred A investment round, supermajority me, should have the right to appoint 4, not 3 seats. I would not expect to appoint them immediately, but like I said, I would unequivocally have initial control of the company, but this will change quickly. The rough target would be to get to a 12-person board, probably more like 16 if this board really ends up deciding the fate of the world, where each board member has a deep understanding of technology, at least a basic understanding of AI, and strong and sensible morals. Apart from the Series A4 and the Common 3, there would likely be a board member with each new lead investor/ally. However, the specific individual new board members can only be added if all but one existing board member agrees. Same for removing board members. There will also be independent board members we want to add who aren't associated with an investor. Same rules apply. Requires all but one of existing directors to add or remove. I'm super tired and don't want to overcomplicate things, but this seems approx right. At the 16-person board level, we would have 7 out of 16 votes, and I'd have a 25% influence, which is my minimum comfort level. That sounds about right to me. If everyone else we ask to join our board is truly against us, we should probably lose. As mentioned, my experience with boards, assuming they consist of good, smart people, is that they are rational and reasonable. There is basically never a real hardcore battle where an individual board vote is pivotal. So this is almost certainly, sure, hope so, going to be a moot point. As a closing note, I've been really impressed with the quality of discussion with you guys on the equity and board stuff. I have a really good feeling about this. Let me know if the above seems reasonable. Elon.